Good evening. Welcome to the May 27th, 2021 Public Traffic Safety Commission of the City of Temecula. Anissa, do you want to read the special announcement for the meeting?
Yes, just one moment. This meeting is being conducted utilizing teleconferencing and electronic means consistent with the State of California Executive Order N-29-20 dated March 17th, 2020 regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. The live stream of the meeting may be viewed on television or online. Details can be found at temeculaca.gov/TV. In accordance with Executive Order N-29-20, the public may only view the meeting on television and or online and not in the council chamber.
Thank you, Anissa. We'll have the flag salute now by Commissioner Carter. And he's got the flag too.
Okay, I guess if we're gonna stand or not. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Skip. And we shall have roll call
Commissioner Carter,
Aye, here.
Hagel,
here.
Maddox,
Here.
Richardson,
Here.
Sullivan. Sullivan is absent.
Yeah, he's absent, unfortunately. So I gather we do have a presentation this evening on the Quality of Life Master Plan. And is that, Matt, is that you going to do it?
It is. Good evening.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Welcome.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank
Welcome.
you. Thanks for putting me at the beginning of the agenda. I was at the Ready Commission a couple of weeks ago and I was at the very end.
We could change it around if you want.
No, I'm good. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, it looks good.
yep.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I know most of you, but don't want to make any assumptions, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Matt Peters. I work in the city's planning department, specifically the Long Range Division. And on April 27th, the City Council approved a contract to update the Quality of Life Master Plan. So as part of this process, I'm attending all the different commission and board meetings to give some detail on the update, and then also provide some context as to where that fits in to the general plan update. Hey, Chris, I'm having trouble advancing my slide. Oh, there we go. Okay. So is the slide before you say background in state law? Yeah,
It
thumbs
does,
up.
yes.
Okay. So a little background on the state law pertaining to general plans. A general plan is the city's blueprint for future growth and development, and it's required, the document's required to contain 9 elements, and those include land use, open space, conservation, housing, environmental justice, circulation, which I know you deal with a lot, noise, air quality, and safety. These elements are important as they also relate to the QLMP. So the current status on our general plan, the last comprehensive update was back in 2005, but over the years, the plan has been amended to change land uses and reflect policy changes and to meet statutory requirements. And a couple of examples of amendments we've made in the last couple of years have been the Altair specific plan. And then we also adopted an affordable housing overlay zone, or AHOZ, to accommodate affordable housing projects. So over the last, over the last few months, we met with the General Plan Update Subcommittee to discuss the process of an update. And from our meetings, we had 2 key takeaways. So the first being to phase the update over time using grant money, and then update the Quality of Life Master Plan first as the foundation for the General Plan update. Here's a copy of the cover of the Quality of Life Master Plan. It's a broad level planning document that identifies the city's 6 core values. And you can see them there in the colored boxes. They range from a healthy and livable city to an accountable and responsive city government. And the idea is to update the QLMP through public input and then later update the general plan elements and organize them under the core values as shown here. So this will ensure consistency between the documents, with the QLMP serving as the foundation and the organizing document. So this is an illustration of our general plan update process. As you can see, there's several work tasks associated with 4 different phases. And I have a slide for each phase, but what's important to note is we're in the process of moving from phase 1 to phase 2 with the Quality of Life Master Plan update. Both phase 1 and phase 2 are 100% grant funded. And the entire process is expected to take 5 years. And we're about 1.5 years in. So I estimate we have just about 3 years left. We're expecting the Quality of Life Master Plan to take about 1 year, and then we'll have 2 years after that. That would mostly be the general plan update and the EIR. So here's a slide for each of the phases. The housing and public safety elements are in progress. Staff is working with De Novo Consulting on both, and these 2 general plan elements will be going before the Planning Commission and then the City Council in late summer or early fall, as the state requires action on both these elements by October of 2021. Also in May of 2020, the city's traffic impact analysis guidelines were amended to measure vehicle miles traveled, or VMT, as opposed to level of service for CEQA. This was another state requirement and was necessary to do this before diving into a full general plan update. And I think Jerry required specifically because of this law, if I'm not mistaken. And now he's back after we've adopted the guidelines. Phase 2 includes 4 work tasks. The QLMP is at the beginning of the process, and that process also includes a True North or community survey. And the survey results will be presented to the Blue Ribbon Committee to help inform their discussions and their recommendations. We're also working with Fair and Peers on a baseline evaluation of our circulation network. And that process is going to look at what's on the ground or what's been built versus what's still planned to be completed in the circulation element. And that will help us prioritize future street connections to improve flow and traffic around the city. We'll also be developing a complete streets document to consider all modes of transportation in our street design. So walking, biking, and transit. And then we'll be doing GIS mapping to help us prepare for the general plan update. Phase 3 is strategic and intended to help us expedite the final phase. But phase 3 is expected to last about 6 months, maybe less. But what we're going to do is this phase would include an exercise where we work with the general plan update subcommittee and executive staff, where we reflect on the city's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges by asking ourselves several questions, but a few basic ones would be, what do we learn during the QLMP update? What do we learn during the baseline VMT evaluation? And then are there any other jurisdictions or organizations we should be working with as we go through that general plan update? And then finally, we'll establish a general plan advisory committee and develop an RFP to select a consultant to prepare our general plan update. And then finally, phase 4 includes the general plan update and the EIR. That'll also include a climate action plan. And then this is the QLMP process graphic. Hopefully you can see that okay on your screen, but I'll just point out that the red icons across the top represent the Blue Ribbon Committee meetings, commission and council meetings at the end. In the middle, we have in green, these represent different stakeholder meetings, workshops, pop-up events. We're going to have a dedicated website, social media, and other public outreach. And then along the bottom in orange, those represent deliverables, key milestones, draft and final documents. And as I mentioned earlier, that process is expected to last just over a year. And then the general plan update subcommittee recommended the Blue Ribbon Committee contain one representative from each of the commissions and boards, and those members are Mayor Edwards and Mayor Pro Tem Matt Ronner make up the general plan subcommittee. And then the commission and board reps include Lene Turley-Trejo from Planning Commission, Ross Jackson from the Old Town Local Review Board, David Maddox from Public Traffic Safety Commission, Kathy Sizemore from Community Services, and Denise Wilson from the Ready Commission. And then similar to the original Blue Ribbon Committee, the subcommittee also recommended a diverse group of stakeholders representing a variety of interests. So I'll just kind of leave that up there for a second. I won't read those all to you. But it's a pretty diverse group, a pretty large group. And with that, I guess I'll just open it up for any questions or comments or suggestions.
Thank you, Matt. I just have one and we'll go around. How is this document as well as the general plan actually used?
So the quality of life master plan is a very successful plan in terms of since it's adopted, our staff uses it to make decisions regarding the annual operating budget and also the capital improvements program. So anything that goes in the budget, there's often an analysis of how that program or how that capital improvement helps meet our core values associated with the quality of life master plan. So, it drives a lot of our decision making, and it's definitely considered, in our decision making, and then it's also related to the general plan, and that's why we're updating it first. It's a broad level document. Kind of sets our core values and our goals and objectives. And then the general plan is more specific and of course has an EIR associated with it. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good. I think basically what you're saying is the things that we're considered doing are compared against that to make sure that it supports the quality of life master plan.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? JR?
Yeah, so I have one section. This is very forward thinking. You mentioned the climate action plan influencing the QLMP, which is great. When we think of quality of life, though, I wonder if there's not something missing here with the homeless outreach action plan. The homeless are definitely influencing quality of life in many communities. And so that's the thing I saw missing that I would like to see included in the QLMP of, are we considering the homeless situation in our community as it relates to QLMP? And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. One of the core values is an accountable and responsive city government. Yeah. And I fully expect homeless and homeless outreach to be a topic of conversation. And just to add, with regard to the quality of life master plan, you can look through and read that document, and it explains what the city's core values are. But an important component of that is there are measurable objectives. So if we say we want to increase our miles of bike lanes and trails, we identify goals and then, we increase our miles of bike lanes and trails by getting it into the CIP. If we talk through the homeless issue and we want to reduce the number of homeless, hopefully we can identify strategies to make that happen. I know it's a complicated issue, but it'll certainly be a topic of discussion.
Very good. Thank you, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Maddox, do you have anything?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Matt, for your presentation. We spoke earlier this month at the Bike Month open house, and you brought up an interesting point about these long-term planning horizons and how they can seem so far away until they're not. And when I look back at, when our current general plan was published in 2005, I think you said it was, back then, 2020 seemed like it was practically, a lifetime away. And yet here we are, and 2020 is already in the rearview mirror, thankfully. But it's fun to dream about what Temecula could look like, 10, 20 years from now. And I wanted to emphasize that this planning process truly is open to everybody. It's not just the Blue Ribbon Committee. Already I've seen members of the community getting involved on social media. In fact, earlier this week, there was a member of an advocacy group polling Temecula residents about where they might like to see a future skate park built in the city. And that Facebook post generated just a lot of positive comments, which is something you don't always see. It got people really excited thinking about the future of Temecula. And I just love that kind of energy. So, I'm really looking forward to the workshops coming up later in the summer. And I wanted to encourage everyone out in the community to get excited and get involved in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Carter, do you have anything?
No, I don't. No, I'm looking forward to just monitoring it as it goes. I'm sure some questions will come up as we move forward.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Just one other comment is one thing that Temecula is really, really good at is long-term planning, strategic planning. And, there's a lot of things we wouldn't have if it wasn't for thinking 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years down the road. So congratulations. You're going to have a lot of fun with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be a positive experience going through this. And just to add to what Commissioner Maddox said, there will be several opportunities for public outreach. And also Commissioner Maddox is going to have homework associated with the Blue Ribbon Committee meetings and probably be assigned to bring back some information to the Public Traffic Safety Commission and get your input. So get input from the fellow commissioners and then report back to the Blue Ribbon Committee. So as we go through this process, there'll be staff liaisons, and then Commissioner Maddox will be also providing information, and you'll know when those different public outreach events are going to be.
Yeah, don't forget, David, you're going to have to get your report card signed. So, okay, thanks, Matt.
All right, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay. Public comments. Anissa, anything yet?
No public comments.
Okay. We will go on to the consent calendar. Anybody have any changes to the consent calendar? And do we have a motion?
I'll move it to skip.
Carter moves it. Second? Do we
I'll
have a
second.
second? Maddox seconds. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Hagel,
Aye.
Maddox,
Aye.
Richardson.
I missed part of the meeting. May I vote aye, or should I abstain because I missed part of the meeting?
I believe you should abstain, Pat or Ron, if you could confirm.
Yeah, if we have quorum, I'll abstain.
I think because you participated in the majority of the meeting, you can go ahead and vote on that.
Very good. Then I'll vote aye as well, Anissa.
Okay. And Sullivan. Sullivan is absent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go on to the first order of business, which is the proposed capital improvement program, fiscal years 2022 through 2026. And Amir, I gather that's your baby, huh?
That is correct. Good evening, everybody. I think most of you know me. For those who don't, my name is Amir Attar. I work in Public Works, and I oversee the Capital Improvement Program Division which is responsible for delivering just about all the public projects in the city of Temecula. So I'll share my screen with you. Okay, so tonight I'm going to give you an overview of the proposed capital improvement program budget for the next 5 years. The City Council held a workshop on May 18th on the budget, and on June 8th, they are scheduled to adopt this budget. So just an overview by the numbers. This is the largest capital improvement program budget in city history, with a total amount of over $700 million for 92 projects. And out of that $700 million, $579 million are funded projects. And it includes a number of projects in different categories. Circulation, we have like 29 projects. Infrastructure projects are 46, parks and recreation are 15, and then we have a couple of housing projects. So tonight I'm gonna just highlight some. Obviously, we can't go over 92 projects, but I'm gonna highlight some of the major projects related to traffic and public safety. And I divided those projects in 3 categories. We have traffic and signalization projects, and then we have road and highway projects, and a 3rd category that I called other projects. So the first project that I'll be talking about is the citywide buffered bike lane striping. And this project supports the goals of the trail and bikeway master plan. And it's a work in progress for the city to expand the city trails network. And an example of that is we have a pavement rehab project coming up that will rehab Power Road between Margarita and Butterfield Stage Road. So we will be expanding this buffered bike lane, striping into, incorporate that into that project. The second project is the median traffic calming improvement citywide. And that project involved the installation of rectangular rapid flashing beacons in various locations. We've already done pedestrian crossing on Harveston Drive and Vail Ranch Parkway, and horse crossing on Inez Road and Portola. And this summer, we'll be looking at Peppercorn Drive and Rancho Vista Road. The next project is the fiber optic communication system upgrade. This is one of 3 projects that we were able to secure a federal highway safety improvement program. This one is about $1.2 million. And this project, we will be upgrading our fiber optic communication systems, conduits, cable, controllers to improve safety along some of the major corridors in the city, which include Winchester, Rancho California Road, and Temecula Parkway. We are actually very close to go to bid on this project. We're looking probably to advertise it for construction bid in June, and then begin the work shortly after that, after we award that contract. Next is the overhead street name sign replacement program. And funds have been appropriated to start replacing some of the aging illuminated street name sign throughout the city. We also have under traffic signal installation. In the upcoming year, we'll be installing 2 traffic signals. The first one will be a traffic signal for the park and ride access from Temecula Parkway, and that will be a signal at Wabash Lane. The city council actually awarded the construction contract for this project at this last Tuesday's meeting, May 25th. And we will be starting construction probably in late June or early July. We also have the traffic signal on Rancho California Road at T Drive. We're finalizing the design on that signal, and it will be installed during the next fiscal year. Next, this is the second HSIP federal grant project, which is the pedestrian signal equipment upgrade. And this project will install countdown signal heads, ADE compliant pedestrian push buttons, equipment, and upgrade traffic signal controllers to improve safety and operation at signalized intersections citywide, such as Butterfield Stage Road, Jefferson, Margarita, Red Hawk, Pechanga Parkway, Rancho California Road, Temecula Parkway, and Inez Road corridors. Also, we are working on this is a new thing for us. We are working on a local roadway safety plan, which is a proactive approach to identify safety issues in Temecula and recommend safety improvement. This is actually a required plan now if we want to apply for future HSIP projects starting in 2022. And the last project related to traffic and signalization is the last SIP project, which is the traffic signal system upgrade. And this one will install the protective permissive signal heads on signal poles and mast arms, and relocate existing equipment and modify striping and raise medians at 5 intersections, which are Margarita Road at Verdes Lane, Inez Road at Town Center North and Town Center South, Red Hawk Parkway at Paseo Paralon, Overland Trail, and Winchester Road at Enterprise Circle. And we're looking probably construction for this project in late 2021 or early 2022. The next set of projects I'm going to go over are road and highway project. The first one is Cherry Street Extension and Merida Creek Low Flow Crossing to Diaz. So what we're looking at is we're looking at to see the feasibility and the concept of installing a low flow crossing similar to Via Montezuma at Cherry Street to connect Diaz to across the creek, to Cherry. And we are looking at doing a preliminary design, come up with cost estimate, so we can, if it's feasible, and we can program it in a future year. We also have, we're working right now on the design of Diaz Road expansion. This project would widen Diaz Road from Rancho California Road to Cherry Street. And we have divided, due to the magnitude of the project, we've divided it into 2 phases. The first phase will be from Rancho California Road to Winchester, and the second phase will be between Winchester and Cherry. So like I said, we are in design of this project, under design in this project on phase 1 right now. The next project is the Merida Creek Bridge at Overland. This is a bridge that would connect Overland across Merida Creek to Diaz Road. We also have actually, it's a different federal grant, but we have a federal grant under the Highway Bridge Program. And we are working on the design. We're probably looking at construction on 2022-23 because of all the environmental, work and working with the feds on this project. And then we're also working with the developer on Nicholas Road extension, and that's the project to extend Nicholas from Roadway Ranch Phase 2 western boundary to Cali Girasol, Leeper Road. And the developer is taking the lead in finishing up the design and all the environmental document. And we are in discussion with them on how construction is going to be carried out, whether the city is going to lead the effort or the developer is going to lead the effort. Most likely, construction on this project, we're probably looking at early spring 2022, probably. The next project is actually I think everybody is familiar with project. It's the biggest project the city has undertaken, and it's the French Valley Parkway Interchange Phase 2. Phase 2, basically, on this graphic is the blue color that you see. So basically, all the improvement are to improve the northbound I-15 by constructing what we call the separated collector distributor lanes, and also a flyover that would basically separate the traffic, the conflicting traffic right now, or the weaving traffic between the motorists that want to go to I-15 or keep going on I-15 and motorists that want to go to 215. And we actually just achieved a major milestone by completing the environmental validation, and we're close to completing the design. This summer, we're going to start the right-of-way acquisition for this project, and that should be completed by the end of the year. So we're looking at construction hopefully in spring, late spring in 2022, next year. We are also working on another project that was basically the result of the Move I-15 Regional Task Force that was formed a few years ago. And this project will construct an auxiliary lane, that's the yellow that you see here, on I-15 between Temecula Parkway, this is Temecula Parkway down here, and this is Rancho, California Road. So we're looking to add another lane to get traffic off the freeway to help the traffic moving northbound. And Caltrans is actually contributing about $1.25 million to this project. And they will also be taking the lead in looking at other auxiliary lanes between interchanges in Temecula. Also, we have a number of pavement rehabilitation projects that we are going to be doing in the next fiscal year. The first one is Butterfield Stage Road from Baba to Rancho, California Road. We're actually going to be doing that this summer. We open bids on this project on June 1st, next Tuesday. And probably sometime in early July, we're going to start construction. Same thing, this project, actually, the first two projects are combined together. Pava Road and Margarita to Butterfield Stage Road is going to be at the same time. We're also looking to do another project of another round of slurry seals at residential streets at various locations in the city this summer. That's probably should go out to bid also in June. And then the next 4 projects, we're going to probably looking to do probably in early 2022. That's Winchester Road from Jefferson to Diaz, Solana Way, Yanez to Margarita, Nicholas Road from North General Kearney to Winchester, and depending on the availability of funds, we may also do some side streets in Meadowview. We a couple of years ago, we did the major streets in the Meadowview neighborhood, and we're gonna try and finish that up by doing the side streets. Under the last category, the other projects, we are working and continue to work to implement the ADA transition plan, which is basically to upgrade any deficiencies in our either street improvements or facilities in order to bring them up to the latest American with Disability Act standards. And we are spending the CDBG money, Community Development Block Grant money that we receive annually. We are spending it on this program. We have a new project next year to install solar lights at the Great Oak Trail. The Great Oak Trail is the trail that runs adjacent to Pechanga Parkway on the east or the northeast side of Pechanga Parkway, right next to the open channel. So we're looking to add solar lights for safety at that trail. And then we have the ongoing program of the citywide surveillance cameras to support public safety, traffic management, and asset protection, and that's an ongoing project. Fire Station 84, we're actually working on finishing up the design to renovate this fire station. It includes renovating the training room and updating the facility to be more efficient, including upgrading the electrical system, windows, and repainting the interior and the exterior of the fire station to make it more energy efficient. Next, we have two trail projects on Santa Cruz Creek. The first one is basically closing the gap that connect the trail from Winchester to Diaz, basically from Inez to Diaz, which goes under I-15. This project is actually under construction right now, and it should be done in early fall of this year. We also working on another project along the same trail, which is the undercrossing under Margarita Road. We are finishing the design for this project, and probably construction toward the latter part of this year or early next year. And both of these projects received large sums of funds from the Alternative Transportation Program that's being done under the State Senate Bill 1, which is the gas tax. So both of these projects we competed with other agencies, and we received funding for both of them, and now we're putting it to construction. Then I just wanted to give you a little update. This is not essentially a city project, but it's being done by our partners at the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and Riverside County Flood Control. The improvements on the phase 2, which is the trail that you see between just south of First Street to just south of Rancho California Road, is done. And we're talking to Army Corps and Flood Control about basically turning over the trail to us for maintenance based on past agreements. That's the way it's supposed to happen. So right now they already finished the landscaping, which was the last component on this stretch of Merida Creek. And we're hoping that they can turn it over to us and we can open it to the public in August, September of this year. So we're very close. Then we have a number of sidewalk projects that we are working on. The sidewalk at the DLR Drive Loop, and also in Old Town, we're looking at putting some sidewalks, missing sidewalks. The first one we're going to do, and that's going to be done later this summer, is the north side of 5th Street by Mad Madling, and in that stretch. And also we're going to be looking at doing sidewalks on Pavo Road between Linda and Showalter. And there is a missing sidewalk on Inez Road along the old Marie Callender building that doesn't exist anymore. So on that stretch, we're looking to add a sidewalk because it's missing in that section. Lastly, I just want to highlight some of the projects that either have been completed this this fiscal year, or we are under construction, including the Butterfield Stage Road Extension Phase 3. We are actually under construction in a couple of major pavement rehab project, the West Side Business Park, and then on Winchester Road at the eastern city limit, and then Inez, just north of Winchester, and then along the adjacent to the county courthouse, Equity Drive and County Center Drive. And we also last November, we completed last year's Slurry Seal project. Got the Pechanga Parkway, library parking, the boardwalk in Old Town. And then, like I said, the traffic signal park and ride, that's gonna start soon. We have completed the acquisition of all the streetlights from Edison. So that's more than 7,000 lights now under the, that being run by being run by the city. A bunch of median and traffic calming at Harveston Drive, Failed Ranch Parkway, the pedestrian and the horse crossing. And then I mentioned the citywide buffered lane, and we also completed the Fire Station 73 maintenance room and backup generator upgrade. This concludes my presentations, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you, Amir. We'll start with Commissioner Carter.
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Maddox.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, wow. This is an enviable portfolio of projects that any city would be just lucky to have. It's just staggering how much grant money is in there. I was especially happy to hear about the progress being made on the local roadway safety plan. You mentioned that the LRSP is going to be a hard requirement for the upcoming Hsip cycle 11 next year. And it's just good to know that we're staying ahead of it and that we're staying competitive with our grant writing. Also on the topic of Hsip, there was a slide that mentioned a $900,000 grant to modernize our pedestrian signal equipment with those ADA enhancements. And I know that staff has a plan in place to deploy these new ADA signal heads along major corridors in a strategic way. But I also want to make sure that we're giving thought to adding them anywhere that we can tuck them into other projects. I hope that these will kind of become the standard for Temecula going forward whenever we install a new traffic signal, like at the Park and Ride, for example, or at Rancho Cal and T Drive. And then lastly, just a more general comment on the full CIP budget document. I want to thank staff for really following through on Commission's feedback. That was a new element to the whole city budget process this year. And I wasn't sure exactly what to expect, but what I got was an entire appendix in the CIP budget document just dedicated to answering my questions about pavement conditions. I was just blown away by that, and I wanted staff to know that their work did not go unnoticed. I think it's no exaggeration to say that this is the best budget that the city has ever put together, or certainly the largest. And I hope that you're as proud of your work as I am. So thank you for a job well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Maddox. Commissioner Richardson.
Yeah, I'll follow up on that. So Amir, great presentation, and I guess it's good to bring so much good news to our commission, but thank you for that. A few comments. To see all the, as someone who's lived in Temecula, nearly 30 years, I can't tell you how excited I am to see all of the I-15 northbound improvement projects actually in the near-term plan now, whether entering Temecula from the south or, departing Temecula to the north, but that northbound side and all of the work that's going to be done here in the next few years is, you talk about quality of life for those of us who've lived here a long time And those are the projects. So it's just really exciting to see that. I was surprised. I had not heard previously of the signalization at T Drive, as you know, that's in my daily driving every day. And I see that as one of my top 10 hazardous places in Temecula. So to know a signal's going in there was just a great surprise in your presentation, and I appreciate that. If there was one thing that was missing, I might like to have seen, it was we've talked off and on about a potential traffic circle up at Inez and Waverly, and hopefully that we'll see that in the next CIP, you know, the plan that we're actually going to move forward with something there. And I guess one question on the citywide surveillance program, I wonder if that's, you could tell us where that's mostly focused. I know reading my Nextdoor app, there's most of the complaints are about behaviors in Old Town. And I'm just wondering if the surveillance program is focused in Old Town, or is it more evenly distributed throughout the city?
Actually, the surveillance is throughout the city. As I mentioned, it's you know, for public safety, you know, traffic management, and also to protect city assets. I'll give you an example. When we did the park and ride at Temecula Parkway and La Paz, we've actually included the infrastructure that would enable us to add cameras to that facility in the future, because the surveillance is, there is actually a citywide, you know, plan that's going to be implemented as, you know, the funds are available. So in some of the projects that we are doing, like the park and ride is an example, the parking lot expansion we did at the library, we're also included the infrastructure that will enable us to add cameras, you know, to that facility. So it is a citywide, it's a citywide endeavor, not just in one location.
Very good, thank you.
If I could just follow up a little bit to add on to what Amir said on that too, is yeah, as you described it, it is a citywide program, and you know, many of our parks now have the surveillance cameras. And to answer your question specifically, Commissioner Richardson, is the next major expansion of that surveillance program will be in Old Town. So we do have funding to add cameras in Old Town on Front Street.
Thank you, Pat.
Another example I may add, you know, like if you park in the parking structure, you'll see cameras, you know, basically throughout the parking structure.
And Commissioner Richardson, on your discussion about Yanez and Waverly, that is a condition of approval for Heirloom Farms, the development that is going in there, and that's being done by Meritage Homes. Those plans have recently been approved by Eric and Jerry. And so that's going to be going out for a public bid. So that development is actually conditioned to do that. And then on top of that, Woodside Homes is building out in Somers Bend, the ranch at Somers Bend. There's a new sports park. And so the surveillance cameras there that are going to be the cities, that's being done by the developer. So Amir was concentrating on CIP, but we do condition developments to put in this infrastructure when possible. So that's where those items are at.
Very good. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate it. Great work, everybody. Really amazing report.
Thank you, Commissioner Richardson. I just have a few things. First is, at first I thought I was listening to the CIP budget for the county. This is absolutely massive. But at the same time, I can't say none of it is going to waste. It's all very much needed. One of the questions I had was the Cherry Street extension. Is there any thought for a bridge, you know, 10, 20 years down the road?
Actually, that is, you know, the long-term solution to that would be a bridge across the creek. But it's that location is, there are two issues right now. One of them is the Army Corps of Engineers and Riverside County Flood Control have a plan to put the detention basin at that location, close to that location. So the bridge is going to be a large bridge that would have to go over the creek. It's not just, you know, like Main Street Bridge or even the Overland Bridge that, you know, that we're looking at. So it is down the road, you know, maybe 10 years, maybe more than that. but the essential plan is to have a bridge across there.
Yeah, I'm always concerned about that section of town in a case of emergency like we had quite a few years ago where everybody was trying to get out at once. There's very, very few ways to, cross the creek. So I was wondering if there is ways to keep that, when it's built, to keep it drier, for instance, putting piping underneath so that it stays drier, because the present crossing probably is open maybe 3 months of the year, 4 months of the year at the most.
Yeah, they actually, even the Montezuma crossing, I actually was involved in the construction of that back in 2001.
Oh, really? Well,
There are pipes under that crossing, but
oh, you're kidding.
yes, they are. But over the years, these pipes have been, blocked, and probably about 2-3 times we did go and clean up the creek, but that process actually requires so much environmental work. It took us, like the first time we cleaned up that creek location, it took us about 9 months just to get all the permits so we can go and clean it up and then we can open it, remove all the sediments and then, clean the pipes and then open it to traffic. So that's why it is very cumbersome to try and do, it takes almost a year to try and get all the environmental permit to open it and clean it up. And the other thing is, that whole creek is owned by Riverside County Flood Control. They do mowing, of the creek every so often, and they used to do it regularly, but I don't think they do that anymore as much. And they don't basically do the mowing in the vicinity of that crossing. So it almost creates a pond, effect at that location. So that's why, we're having the issue of not having it open, throughout. And when we look at Cherry, we got to look at ways to try and do exactly what you just said, to try and maintain it and keep it open throughout the year.
Yeah, I know just, one major flood, like I think we had in 2005, 2006, probably put enough silt to, in a week's time to stop up those pipes like you wouldn't believe. So,
That's exactly the year that it took us 9 months to clean the sediment. There was about 4 foot of sediment over that crossing after all the, the water subsided and we start looking at it. If we left it like that, it wouldn't have been usable at all.
yeah.
So we went through the process with the resource agencies to clean all that sediment up, and so we can open it to the public. But that was during the 2004-2005 storms.
Yeah. My next question's on the traffic signal enhancement. What I didn't see in there was new software. Is there new software being installed? And the reason why I ask is that I'm seeing increasing complaints regarding traffic timing, signal timing. And, I'm experiencing it myself, and I know quite a few other people experience where, like the other day, going up Margarita, I got every single light red. And I know there is ways to create traffic timing where you're pretty much guaranteed to get 2 or 3 lights green by delaying side streets. And, I certainly wouldn't mind waiting past the 2-minute mark, 2.5, 3 minutes to allow more traffic to go on the main thoroughfare. And so I'm wondering if we're either replacing software or is there changes to the software for better traffic timing that's planned?
I'll take a shot at answering that, and then Jerry or Eric or Ron can chime in too. But the HSIP Cycle 7 project does include replacing the controllers on all of the traffic signals along the 3 major east-west corridors. So along Winchester, Rancho, California, and Temecula Parkway, and also includes implementing new timing plans along those corridors as well. So we'll be preparing the new timing plans to coordinate the signals along those corridors and implementing them as part of that project. And then also on the subject of software, we did recently upgrade our ATMS, our central traffic signal software system that we use that manages all of the cities throughout all of the signals throughout the city. And that does have the ability to implement coordinated timing plans on other corridors as well. So we're going to be starting with those 3 main east-west corridors and then look at implementing coordinated timing plans on other corridors after that.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. The last couple things I've got, with all the surveillance cameras that everybody's been talking about, is there any plans to do any virtual patrolling that, for instance, staffing police with the ability to do some virtual patrolling, particularly in a place like Old Town, where I know, we now have permanent staff, permanent deputies there, but they may be, may be helpful to be assisted by some virtual patrolling as well.
Well, the Sheriff's Department does have access to all of the surveillance cameras at Southwest Station. So they do have access to all those cameras and can view those at any time, as well as at the storefront at City Hall. Now, they don't staff that like 24/7 and monitor those cameras at all times, but they do have the ability to bring them up anytime to see what's going on in any of those locations. And then also just update you, and the Sheriff's Department did the presentation on the Flock license plate reader system at the last commission meeting, and the purchase of that system and installation of it was approved by the city council last meeting. So they will be moving forward with that system, and it's been implemented at other cities throughout the county and has gotten very good results. So we expect that system will definitely improve their ability to find stolen vehicles and be able to monitor the folks that are coming into the city.
Thank you. I think virtual patrolling is probably something, if we were to do it, would not be certainly every camera, but maybe just certain times of the day where there's issues, certain locations, like there may be a few locations in Old Town. I know that one of the issues that came up about parking in Old Town at last city council meeting was the feeling of not wanting maybe to park on some side streets where businesses are closed because the feeling of safety. And, those are the kind of places where you certainly don't want to put a deputy all the time, or, from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock or something like that. But some virtual patrolling might be something that might help there. So the last question I have is regarding the crosswalk signals. One of the things I've noticed, doing a lot of walking around town, is when you have a crosswalk signal that allows you to cross the street, the real danger is with cars that are making right-hand turns at the signal on a red light. And the crosswalk signal is in my view, but it's not in the view of the car that's going to turn. And so people generally pull right up into the crosswalk, then stop to look. And I've almost been hit several times. I'm gotten extremely cautious walking across the street, particularly when I get there. And I know that in many cases, the person making a right-hand turn really can't see me because there's cars next to them, either one or two cars next to them, which blocks their view of the person walking across the street. And I've always thought that maybe a good addition to these crosswalk signals is a small LED light that goes on top that you can see 360 degrees, that flashes yellow or red when the person has the green crosswalk signal. And that would let cars know that somebody is crossing. They'd be able to see it from any angle, and hopefully maybe we avoid some accidents. I don't know if that is something we possibly could do, or whether it's something that have to be approved by the state of California or the federal government, but it would be great to see that being done, everywhere. But I don't know if that's even possible for us to do. It's just a city.
Yeah, I don't know if Jerry or Eric have any experience with that type of a device. I know that we have at some of the I guess heavily traveled and locations where there's dual right turn lanes, things like that. We have put up an additional sign that warns those drivers to yield to pedestrians. So if there's a specific location, Bob, that you were interested in, we could look and see if additional signage would help there.
Okay, maybe I'll pick one or two out, and maybe we just test it even and see if it's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
other thing is, the other thing I can add to that too is some locations throughout town when I was there, we had added a delay for vehicles that were making a right turn so that the pedestrian would lead into the crosswalk before the green ball was displayed for vehicles traveling through or making a right turn. And that's where we had heavier pedestrian volumes. And so that's something that can be explored at some of the locations. As far as, that light being on top of the pedestrian signal, that probably would have to be approved by Caltrans. They'd have to go in there and explore the feasibility of that and add it to their standard specifications.
Okay, thanks, Jerry.
Mhm.
Okay, we will go on to the next business is the Portola Road traffic calming. And who's doing that?
I'll begin.
That's Eric.
Eric?
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
Ron's going to be helping me out of the presentation, but I'll be presenting it. So, well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and commissioners, and good evening to anyone that is watching from home. My name is Eric Escobedo with the Public Works Traffic Division, and I'll be doing this presentation today regarding traffic calming on D Portola Road for the segment east of Butterfield Stage Road. So staff received a citizen request in April of this year to consider flexibility of implementing traffic calming measures to reduce excessive vehicular speeds on D Portola Road from Butterfield Stage Road to the terminus at the eastern city limits. The request also included the possible use of always stop controls to provide some right-of-way assignment at the two intersections circled on the slide. Those intersections are D Portola Road at Via Sabino and D Portola Road at Via Angeles. So a quick background on the intersections as the staff reviewed. D Portola Road is classified as a major arterial from Butterfield Stage Road to the city limits. However, since D Portola Road is not constructed at this time to its ultimate design section and it at the city limits, it actually currently serves more as a residential collector roadway. It provides access to numerous residential neighborhoods to the north. It's currently posted at 45 miles per hour, and it only gets about 730 ADT. Via Sabino, which is one of the streets that lead up to these neighborhoods, is a 44 foot wide residential collector. It's posted at prima facie 25 miles per hour, and it garners about 334 ADT. Similarly, Via Angeles is also a 44 foot wide residential collector. It's also posted at 25 miles per hour, and it garners 406 ADT. So in April, staff began review of Portola Road for possible traffic calming measures that could be utilized. Staff collected speed and volume data over a 3-day period on Portola, as well as some volume data, entering volume data at the intersections of Portola with Via Sabino and Via Angeles. The review of the speed data that we collected showed that it varied. The 85th percentile speeds varied from 47 miles per hour to 48 miles per hour on Portola Road, and they posted at 45. So the results of that speed limit review indicated the posted speed limit currently 45 miles per hour is appropriate for the conditions on Portola Road. In addition to that data collection, a review of conditions was performed, which included an evaluation of the sight distance from these intersections, collision history, and we did review a multi-way stop warrant analysis at the mentioned intersections. So since Portola Road currently functions as more of a residential collector roadway than a major arterial, the multi-way stop sign installation policy for residential streets, street warrants criteria was used to evaluate the need for all-way stop controls at these two intersections. The warrants allow for installation of all-way stop controls when the traffic volumes, minimum traffic volumes, collision history, and roadway characteristic warrants are all met. Based on the low volumes that I mentioned before, we found that we were not able to meet any of the 3 warrants that were required for all-way stops, and were not justified for all-way stop controls. The policy does, however, provide the flexibility to consider multi-way stop control at locations where there is a need to provide right-of-way control to eliminate turn conflicts. It can also be considered when installation of stop controls is compatible with traffic circulation needs for a residential area. And I highlighted those warrants on the slide in red. Now, upon evaluation of the entering volume data collected at the 2 intersections, it was determined that a vast majority of the volumes on Portola Road are being used to access these 2 intersections via Sabino and Via Angeles, strictly for circulation to these residential neighborhoods. So this confirms that the 2 intersections are compatible with overall traffic circulation for Portola to these residential areas. And all-way stop controls are justified at the intersections for Portola Road and Via Sabino, and Portola Road at Via Angeles to eliminate any potential vehicle conflicts. One caveat to the installation of stop controls at these 2 intersections that I would like you to keep in mind is that they should be considered temporary as long as the existing conditions of Portola Road remain the same or as is existing now. Both intersections should be considered for reanalysis in the future upon Portola Road being constructed out to its ultimate design section, and at that time becoming more of a major arterial that is classified as now. So in order to address some of the concerns about the vehicular speeds, staff also reviewed some potential traffic calming measures that have proven effective at other locations in the city. And due to the low volumes that we found with our volume data that was collected east of Butterfield Stage, some of the options that staff considered were road diet, striping adjustment to the existing lane configuration, the addition of some bike lanes with the buffer areas adjacent to them, and some high visibility bike pavement legends that help drivers visually see where the bike lanes are. So with those measures in mind, staff prepared a conceptual road diet concept to visually reduce the width of the roadway The proposed striping measures on the Portola Road would reduce the 2 existing westbound lanes to 1 lane, just east of the intersection approach. It would provide 12-foot wide travel lanes with a 14-foot wide striped median, 7-foot wide bike lanes, and a 5-foot wide buffer area. And this would be west of Via Sabino, and that's the top view you see on the slide now. Now, east of Via Sabino, all the way to the city limits, where the Portola Road ends, we would be providing 12-foot wide travel lanes as well, striped center line, 6-foot wide bike lanes, and a 4-foot wide buffer area along those bike lanes on the north side. And unfortunately, we could only get a 2-foot wide buffer on the south side of the Portola because that portion does narrow considerably. And that's the bottom view you see on the slide. And in addition to that, that striping, we would be providing so the appropriate signing, pavement markings, and the high visibility bike lane pavement legends that I mentioned before. So in May, early May, we presented the proposed traffic calming measures that you see on the slide to members of the Crown Hill and the California Trade Winds Homeowners Association. This was during a virtual Zoom traffic calming workshop that was coordinated with them. We actually received very positive feedback during that meeting regarding these proposed measures, and the majority of the residents in attendance agreed with the recommended traffic calming measures and possible stop controls that was presented by staff. Staff also advised members in attendance that if these measures and stop controls were approved, the timing of the proposed improvements and traffic calming measures would be implemented in conjunction with one of our pavement overlay projects, which is scheduled for early to late summer of this year. So in conclusion, staff recommendation for the commission tonight is to direct staff to implement the resident preferred striped traffic calming measures on Deep Portola Road in conjunction with the scheduled pavement overlay project. And two, to recommend the city council adopt a resolution establishing multi-way stop controls at the intersections of Deep Portola Road with Via Sabino and Deep Portola Road at Via Angeles. So that will conclude my presentation, and we can open it up to any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks. Ron, did you have anything to add? Nothing? Okay. Let's go to, is there any speakers on this issue? Anissa?
No speakers.
No speakers, okay. So we can go to questions and comments then. We'll start with Commissioner Maddox.
All right. Yeah, there was something that caught my attention in the report where it's written that the all-way stop controls should be considered temporary as long as the existing conditions remain, and should be considered for reanalysis upon the road being constructed to its ultimate design in the future. So about that, you know, with the recent zone change to the Corona Ranch property last year, I'm thinking that those current conditions on Deep Portola might be more temporary than I would have previously anticipated. While I understand that the Riverside County Planning Commission would not agree to any conditions at the public hearing that they held for the zone change, I just want to make sure that we're keeping an eye out for any proposed development that might come forward on that property. And as soon as a tangible development project does come forward, you know, we need to hold the county accountable for holding the developer accountable for paying for those future improvements to Deep Portola Road. But with that said, I don't really have any objections to the recommendation in front of us today.
Okay.
With
Commissioner Carter. Whoop, sorry.
we actually discussed that on the kind of workshop we had with the two HOAs, they actually brought that up as well. And Ron let them know that that's still a ways away. We're still working on a drainage issue that exists over towards the terminus of the Portola Road. And that would need to be figured out before any kind of development would be done in the area.
Okay, that's very good to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Carter?
Yeah, sorry, I had to step away. There was somebody at the door. I might have missed the part, but when you do that's a 3-day survey gathering or the monitoring, is that considered the industry standard of just 3 days, or is a longer period of time based on lack of traffic, school, and all that other stuff when more traffic is going out there? 3 days, it just seems like a short time, but I don't know the business, so.
Well, just to let you know on that, we did actually collect data for a full week. But typically when we review the data, we'll just concentrate on the 3 peak days, just to get this ADT of when the heaviest traffic exists out there. And that usually helps us out a lot when we're doing these stop warrant analysis for these intersections. So we did leave it out there for a lot longer, but the data that I presented today was more of the peak days that we found.
Okay. One other question real quick on the, I know when we've done changes or suggested changes, sent out a lot of things to the residents. This apparently is just through the homeowners association. Were all residents notified of any of these changes and had an opportunity to speak up, or are they relying just on their HOA to do their talking for them?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit there. We did reach out to both HOAs to inform their residents. And so a flyer was sent out, and then we were made aware that each HOA did post it on their particular website that this was going to happen. So the residents were informed more from a virtual standpoint, a digital standpoint. And we did have, for this type of meeting, and because this was a little bit of short notice for them, because we are trying to address a safety situation right away, we did end up having more than a dozen residents, and we don't know how many were listening in on each of those devices, but we did get good participation, especially from the residents that back up to De Portola.
Okay, great. I just, my fear is we do all of this and then we have an outpouring of people that are just upset about it, and they had their opportunity. I just making sure they did have that opportunity. So thank you.
Yeah, and we anticipate we will get some calls.
Oh,
either way.
yeah. That's already built in, isn't it?
And also when we had the virtual meeting with the residents, we did let them know that this would be coming to the commission this evening, and then we'll be going to the city council if you approve or recommend approval of the always stops. And then also just to let you know, this request actually did come to us from at least one resident in the Trade Winds tract there.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yeah, I guess I understand and appreciate all the work that was done here. But it seems to me usually when we deal with speed complaints in our commission, step 1 is deploy the radar trailer. Step 2 is restripe the street. And then if none of that works, step 3 is let's look at the stop warrant analysis. So I'm a little surprised here to see the recommendation is let's restripe the street and put in stop signs all as a step 1. I'm just wondering if this is different, because my initial, I guess, reaction will be, why aren't we just doing the restriping as the first try to see if that has an effect? And if it doesn't, then come back with the always stop. So if you can explain to me why this one's a little different, we're recommending both here in the first round, that would be helpful to me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to take it wrong, but I think we propose as options to the residents. They did mention on the feedback we got that they do encounter a lot of conflicts with turning in and out of their streets, which is mainly via Sabino and via Angeles. So it's something that we definitely wanted to consider based on the feedback we got from them. I'm not opposed to doing it in a two-step approach if that's what the commission would like to move forward with. But based on what we found, they were warranted for that area, because most of, I would say about 95% of the traffic is going to these two intersections for this segment of Portola.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at putting in a stop sign for conflicts, it's one of two things. It's either the speeds are too high or the sight distances don't, make it dangerous. And I know the stretch of road well enough to know I don't think sight distances are any problem here. So it's the speeds, and if the road diet can decrease the speeds, then maybe we solve the problem. The other thing that, based on my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that stop signs are easy to put in but hard to remove once they're in, right? You can't go back. So my preference, unless there's a really compelling need to do both at once, would be to let's do the striping first and see if there's an impact. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I agree, and that's getting back to the comment that Commissioner Maddox had regarding the note in the report where it was stating that they should be considered temporary, only because now with the existing condition of this road, I mean, it's only carrying about 780 T, so it's not carrying a lot of volume, so it should be considered temporary. But in the future, like Commissioner Maddox was inquiring on, if this does become a major arterial that's carrying traffic from the county or any other developments east of there, then it would need to be reanalyzed and determined. Maybe a signal is warranted there at that time, or the stop signs could be completely removed. And that's something that the main reason for us adding that caveat in the report.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that, that if that road is extended further to the east, and I believe, and Ron, I'm not sure about this, but is that not classified as a 4-lane road in the future?
That is correct.
So the character of that road will completely change if it's extended and widened in the future. And then at that time, like Eric's saying, there would be a need to reevaluate whether or not those stop signs would be appropriate with the changing character of the road.
Okay, I would echo about 75, 80, 85% of what Commissioner Richardson said. I would take a much more cautious approach to this. First of all, spending time down there, Butterfield Park is at the end of the road. And I've been in and out of Butterfield Park during the day and noticed that it is always 100% full. Every parking space is taken, and there's cars actually parked out onto Portola. So I would have to guess that a lot of that 700 cars is going to one of the two roads, Sabino or Angeles, going to and from the park, as well as people that are heading out to Temecula Parkway as well. The one difference between what I felt and what Commissioner Richardson said is in making the turn out of Angeles onto Portola, I found the sight distance to be really, really horrible. I could not see cars coming around that curve very easily on the left-hand side. So I think there a three-way stop sign is justified. But I would also I would not put one in Sabino. I would be very cautious because I've never seen a stop sign in this city ever removed, other than on private property. So I think, one of the issues we could have if this goes from a small road to a lot more traffic, given what Commissioner Maddox is talking about with the possibility of some type of neighborhood down the street. And as you all say, it becomes a 4-lane road. We could end up actually having problems with the neighbors trying to pull a stop sign out of there. And a stop sign is not going to be particularly appropriate for a 4-lane road. You're going to probably end up with a traffic light somewhere. And I would say if we end up with a traffic light somewhere, it should be on Angeles, because I think it's very, very difficult to turn out of there. So I would feel that one stop sign is justified for the sight distance. Sabino, I don't see it being justified at this point. But I think the striping plan is a really, really good striping plan. And given how thorough it is, I think we should have equal to success, if not better success, than we've had in some of the other locations where we've tried restriping. So any other discussion, any further discussion?
Well, we could possibly do it, maybe like you, Commissioner Richardson, or maybe we can get the striping for the road concept installed and collect some more speed data, see if it's helping at all, and maybe come back to the commission at that time once it's been reanalyzed, and we can discuss the stop signs at that time.
I would be good with that. I think where we check speeds is going to be very important, given where Butterfield Park is. If people are going past Sabino, that's where I would expect the higher speeds to be. People, I think, turning in one of the other two roads certainly I would expect wouldn't be going very fast, because it's just not that long of a distance. And I'm not sure how this really affects Crown Hill, but I don't see maybe some people traveling down to the park from Crown Hill, but that would be pretty much it. So.
Yeah, that's collected the speed data east of in between those two intersections, because that's likely where the highest speeds would be.
Yeah. Anybody else?
If I could just add something, Commissioner Hagel, that one of the things that we could do, and I understand your difficulty, and I kind of agree this could be done in a phased approach. One of the things that could be looked at, if it happens to make you feel a little bit better too, is when we're doing the resolution for the actual stop sign, that caveat that Eric was talking about to make this a temporary stop sign could be written into that resolution, I believe. But that's something we can check on. Another thing, just part of the history, is that we have the years that I was there, we did receive a number of calls and complaints on the stretch of roadway, and it was very challenging for the police department to do enforcement out there. And I know that we did deploy, or they did deploy, the radar trailer a few times, but it's one of those circumstances where the street is very wide and people just drive very fast, and a lot of the things that are happening at night as well. So these measures will help quite a bit, and maybe take a look at least one stop sign to begin with, like you mentioned. That might be something to implement initially, and then take a look at something later on to see if there's a need for that second stop sign. The other thing too to remember with these volumes, as Eric mentioned, they were low, but keep in mind that not all students are going to school, and so I think the parent factor was not really there as well. So, maybe later on, if and when schools open there in that area, that's another thing we can look at volumes. But I know that those two streets do carry traffic to that elementary school up there. And so there was always a lot of traffic in that area.
And I expect, maybe some of the traffic is teenagers heading to Great Oak as well.
Yeah. Let me ask
Yeah,
this.
that could be.
Well, we talk about a temporary stop sign to see if it works. And I think of when there's a traffic light out for maintenance and you see the stanchions in between the lanes with a stop sign on it. Is that what we're talking about? We say trying a temporary stop sign as opposed to putting up the signs and painting it on the road to try it initially? Because I would be open to that type of a obviously temporary approach if we wanted to see if it had an additional impact.
Yeah, I think what we're looking at is yeah, temporary in the fact that, you know, they would come up when that road is widened. I guess maybe interim is a better word for that. But you know, we do have, you know, I know that I personally did have a little heartburn with having stop signs there, but you know, since it is classified or is functioning as a residential collector at this point in time, I think, you know, I think we're okay to say this is just an interim measure to control traffic when and if that roadway actually does become a secondary or builds out to a secondary arterial as it's designated to be. At that time, we pull the stop signs out to allow for the 4 lanes, or if something goes in on that south side, you know, development goes in, you know, they will probably be required to do some kind of traffic study, traffic analysis, and a circulation analysis at that time could show that, okay, one of these intersections may need a traffic signal, depending on the amount of driveways that they have coming out of that area. And then also the other factor is the extension of Portola to the east into the wine country. And in the wine country specific plan, I know that street has been what was reduced significantly, and so that's another thing to look at as well. Is it actually always, is it going to be a secondary arterial, or is it going to remain maybe something less than a secondary arterial? But those are all things that can be looked at in the future, and I think that's the reason for making this just an interim traffic control device until that road actually develops. And I don't know if that helps you, but.
Yeah, and what, you know, the reference to temporary or interim, we weren't thinking of just putting the stop signs on the A-frames. We were thinking of installing them as if they were permanent, but with the idea that if the road is you know, widened or extended, that then it would need to be reevaluated.
Okay. David, anything?
Yeah, I like sort of the changes you're proposing there, maybe doing one or seeing what the striping does first. I hadn't really considered that. So I'd be on board for that. I guess I also maybe am a little concerned that you know, the stop signs could effectively act as speed breakers. I know that's not really the intention behind the design. They're there for the right of way, but you know, to drivers, if they're seeing, you know, that they have to stop multiple times on that wide open, relatively straight road, you know, that could be a problem too. But I want to see if the striping maybe solves it first.
Skip, do you have anything to add?
No, I didn't consider what Commissioner Richardson said until after he had said it, and he's right. I mean, we usually have a phased approach, and this is hitting like, you know, a couple of things, 3 things at once. I would like to see the striping, possibly the stop signs after we check it out to see if it has impacted it, you know, do the road diet first. Because as he mentioned, and is true, stop signs are hard to take out once they're in. And, you know, even though everybody's talking and we just had this, the long range plan and all of that stuff, I didn't see anything on Portola being extended out or anything like that. So we're talking future, and it's nothing in the immediate future that we have any plans on doing that, or at least it's not on any paper yet. So I would go with the road diet first and see how we go.
Well, Portola is extended out. That won't be on our plans. It'll be on the county plans, because I think we're right up against the county line there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the city boundary at the
Right.
end of the park there.
But saying, even with that, aren't we notified if they're going to do something like that as the city? So I haven't heard, or we haven't,
No.
hasn't been out there yet. So, and it's a long stretch depending on how far out. And if they just go a little ways, is that changing it, or do they have to go all the way out to Anza to change it? You know, so it all depends. Does it become a 4-lane just out to Anza, or, you know? So I like the road diet first.
Okay, I would be okay with just the road diet first, or if the one stop sign, everybody else feels is necessary, I'd be okay with that as well. Mr. Richardson,
Yeah, I think I would like to move that we proceed with the road diet, which was the first bullet on the recommendation slide. And as Eric said, gather some more data and see if that's having the desired effect, and not do the second bullet, which is the stop signs at this time. And just let's do it in a phased approach as we've always done. That's my recommendation.
so you want to make a motion of that? So,
Yes, I'll make a motion of that.
okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Commissioner Carter seconds it. We shall have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Hagel,
Aye.
Maddox,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
and Sullivan is absent. Thank you.
Okay,
And
thank you.
Chair Hagel, just so I can
Yeah.
add this, so with adding all-way stops, that does require city council approval and would go to the council with your recommendation. So in this case, I believe we will put this on the council agenda, but it will be with a commission recommendation to not install the stop signs.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And that way, if they have a problem with that, then, we can go back at it again. So,
Not
Okay.
install stop signs at this time.
Correct.
Yes, very good.
Now, I got a question on that. They can overrule us and go and do whatever they want to do, can't they?
Yes, they could do that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
yeah, my guess is if anyone has an issue with it, they will probably send it back to us rather than just overrule it right there. So, okay, thanks. So we'll go on to reports, and we've got the California Highway Patrol. Captain Penner, I think, is here somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening. How is everyone?
Great.
So thanks again for having me here. Excited about the opening up of the state, which in turn means a lot more of our programs coming open. So we just got an email yesterday. Our senior volunteer program is going to
Yeah.
open up starting June 15th. And I'm hopeful that June 15th will also open up our Explorer program. So so go along with my report for the month of April, we had 449 motorist services. Child safety seat installations were 14. I'm hoping to greatly increase that. We actually in May did not a distracted driver, a child safety installation seat clinic at by baby. So we're hoping to start to be able to do more of those. We've been doing our distracted driver safety presentations, and those are increasing now as well, that we have been able to start up. Our Start Smart programs have started. We actually have one going tonight, and again, we'll be able to expand those. We've had 4 community outreach booths about traffic safety and education. And yeah, we're hoping also to get our Age Well Drive Smart classes started up again. So excited about our traffic education that we'll be able to get going on again. And as far as enforcement, we had 745 citations issued, a total of 1,383 enforcement contacts. We're continuing with our focused high crash reduction grants. We actually have our quarterly meeting coming up. I believe it's next week. Our street racing complaints on Anza and Kimmelsall have been continuing. And so what we've done is that we've actually, in the past, we just kind of sat in the area and waited for them to try and come to us. Well, this will be my next report, but in May, we've been more proactive in going out there to get them. So I'll have some stats for you in the next report. And actually, it was actually a joint operation we did with Temecula Police Department. We actually have another joint DUI operation with Temecula Police Department. So really have a great relationship with Temecula Police Department. I've really enjoyed over the last year and really joining up in our efforts together. For DUI arrests, we had 48 DUI arrests for the month. 5 of those were drug DUI arrests. For our traffic collisions, we had 111 non-injury traffic collisions, 39 injury, which is actually down from 60 injury collisions from March. So that was really good. We had 3 fatalities, 3 fatal collisions, a total of 10 fatal traffic collisions this year to date, and a total of 172 collisions for the month of April. Our 3 fatalities were southbound 15 at Overland, where unfortunately that was where the 18-year-old lost his life. Traffic came to a stop. He came to a stop, and then the person in the box truck behind him, driving under the influence of drugs, was unable to stop, caused that traffic collision. We had one on Ortega east of the Lookout, was a motorcycle driver under the influence of alcohol, was unable to maintain within the lane and crossed over the lines and was hit by a car. And then SR 74 near Ethonac, we had a vehicle pulling out of a parking lot, failing to yield to traffic coming towards him, and someone who swerved around him to miss that traffic collision caused a head-on traffic collision. So those were our three fatal traffic collisions for the month of April. And that's all I have for month of April. Does anyone have any questions for me?
I read an article in AAA magazine about traffic over the last year and speeds and everything, and it was some fairly shocking statistics regarding the increase in number of speeders and the average speed, the percentage of people driving over 100 miles an hour, and then the percentage of people driving over 120 miles an hour was absolutely mind-boggling. And that there was a 24% increase in deaths last year over 2019. So I guess the very first part of the March, April, May timeframe, we saw, not a lot of traffic, but there were certainly things going on that was not good for you guys. So.
Yeah, we were actually fortunate in Temecula as compared to the south end of, or the north end of like the 15 for the San Diego CHP area, or especially the 5 going through Orange County and through Camp Pendleton. Our speeds increased, but our fatalities between 2019 and 2020 pretty much stayed the same. But one of the things we are doing, coming up in June, we're going to do a joint operation with Temecula CHP, Oceanside CHP, and then San Diego CHP. And we're going to canvass the 15 on a chosen day in June from the Mexico border all the way through the CHP Temecula area, which goes all the way to Ortega Highway. So I think it's June 17th. We'll have a very heavy presence out there to try and really make more of a dent in the 15 freeway, how to slow people down.
Yeah, I would hope that your visibility gets some people to calm down a little bit. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody else questions? Okay, we'll go on. The fire chief let me know that he had a call, and hopefully it's nothing real serious, but he had to leave. So we'll go on to the police chief's report, and it looks like they're in Southwest Station, maybe.
Yes, we are. Good evening, yeah. Lieutenant Kevin Lamb. I oversee our traffic division here for the city of Temecula, and with me is Sergeant Craig Roberts, who also oversees our accident investigators and our motor team.
All right, welcome.
So, are you guys excited about all the extra traffic now that they're opening everything now?
Yeah.
Not excited.
So our numbers are going to be vastly different from the month of May, which is this month, from April, since things kind of opened up. So from April, our citations issued for hazardous moving violations is 665, bringing a 3-month total of 2,916. Our non-hazardous citations, it was 111 in April, bringing a total 3-month of 402. Click it or ticket seatbelt violations. We actually had 6 last month, bringing our 3-month total to 27. Distracted driver, which we're doing almost monthly now. Distracted driver campaigns, cell phone use. We had 132, bringing our 3-month total to 456. Parking violations are 182, bringing those up to 367. And written warning citations were 178, bringing the total to 790.
Wow.
Yeah, stoplight, our slap red light program enforcement, where you had 42 in the month of April, bringing that to 122. Commercial enforcement sites. This month, the month of May, I can tell you it's going to surpass that almost 3 times, but in the month of April is 8, bringing that to 44. for a 3-month total. Injury collisions, we had 43 for a total of 90, and DUI arrests 36 for 106, bringing our total for 3 months. Those are the numbers for April. I am excited that we are working in collaboration with CHP for one DUI checkpoint, which will be kind of more of a checkpoint and saturation patrol. And then we are doing several other saturation patrol events. Those are coming up in the next month, next couple of weeks, actually.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I know the saturation patrols are particularly effective, so.
Yeah, and on a side note, we should see increased enforcement. We just had 2 new motors graduate motor school last week. So they are currently training with some of the senior guys for a week or 2, and then they'll be out on their own conducting enforcement. So we will have the 2 new guys out in the field.
Do you think the enforcement, the increase in enforcement violations is trending with the increase in traffic, or is there just that many more people doing stupid things?
Well, and I'm sure CHP could attest to this when the lockdown kind of hit and everything, less people were on the roads. Since there were less people on the roads, everybody started driving a lot faster. You saw it on the freeways, we see it in the roads. So hopefully as the traffic comes back, hopefully it starts slowing everybody a little bit down.
Yeah.
But until then, we continue with our enforcement of it.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed is a lot more people seem to be going through stop signs than I had seen before. And I don't know if it's just being distracted or just people are, like you say, not used to seeing a lot of other people on the road and just taking it for granted that there's nobody there. So. Okay, anybody, any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. We will go on to the traffic engineer's report.
I wanted to let you know about a couple of projects that are coming up in the near future. And Amir did mention these in his report on the CIP budget, but I think these projects are worth repeating because they'll be pretty impactful and obvious here in this summer. One is the paving overlay project for Paba Road and Butterfield Stage Road. So we are opening bids on that project next week, and then expect that'll be under construction in probably July, August timeframe. So that'll be a major construction project. The new traffic signal at Temecula Parkway and Wabash Lane, which will provide a new access into the park and ride facility. The contract was awarded on that project, and now we're getting the contractor lined up. So they'll be starting work this summer. The signal won't be up and operational until probably late this year of a long lead time for ordering the big, large steel poles. So, but we are moving forward with that. And then one of the other projects that was mentioned was we had implemented a number of these high visibility crosswalks at some mid-block cross locations that you are aware of. One that hasn't been done yet that we are planning to implement this summer is on Rancho Vista Road, and that's to move the crosswalk that's at the east end of Temecula Valley High School and move that crosswalk down to one of the main entry points into the school, and then install the rectangular rapid flashing beacons at that location. So we'll be moving that crosswalk and doing that this summer before school opens up again in the fall. So I just wanted to make you aware of those again. And just so you know too, on the city council meeting agenda on June 8th, they'll be having their hearing for both the city's operating and capital budget. Then that's when they'll be voting on that. So assuming that's adopted, that'll go into effect July 1st. Also on the agenda for the June 8th meeting will be a discussion about opening up the council meetings and potentially having those meetings in person and public attendance at the meetings following the June 8th, or excuse me, the June 15th reopening or lifting of the restrictions by the state. So that discussion will be had by the city council on June 8th. Potentially their second meeting in June may even be held in person and open to the public. And then if the council decides to start holding their meetings in person and open to the public, the commission can do that as well. So potentially the commission meeting in June may be able to be done in person and have that be open to the public. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. We'll update you after the council's discussion on June 8th. And then if it's the commission's desire,
Is he
hold your
okay?
meeting,
He's
open
frozen.
to the public. Did I freeze?
You froze, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't quite have the bandwidth at home as I do in my office. So anyways, but just be aware, we'll update the commission after the council's discussion on June 8th, and then if it's your desire, we can have that meeting in June, the commission meeting in June, in person and public, open to the public as well. So
Just give us plenty of notice so that we can all shower and shave and, get our haircuts and everything. So.
Well, we'll give you plenty of notice. And then just one last thing, I wanted to ask Ron if he had any other updates, and if he could give a quick update on the Rancho California Water District project on Temecula Parkway.
Sure, no problem. They finished all of the pipeline placement this week, so that is complete. The only thing they have left to do now is going to be the appurtenances. They'll be doing some hydrants, they'll be doing some tie-ins, and then lastly, they'll do all of the paving. They are still on track to be complete before July 1st. So that'll be the last thing that's done, would be the final paving over Temecula Parkway.
So they finished the tunneling?
Yeah, they finished the entire recycled line, and now it's just going to be the tie-in, the testing, and everything else that goes into the completion of the water line.
And we did ask them to take up the traffic control for the long Memorial Day weekend, so they'll be opening up the lanes for this weekend.
Oh, good. I think a lot of people will be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for Patrick or Ron? Okay, we'll go on to commission reports. I've got a couple things to announce from city council meeting as well. First, some of you may or may not know that Greg Butler, I gather, is retiring. I don't know when. Patrick, do you know when?
July 15th.
July 15th. So, lucky guy. June 15th, there will be a party at Nagar Park for Mike Nagar's retirement and the name change of the park to Mike Nagar Park. June 29th at 10 a.m., the Friendship Park will be on Temecula Lane. We'll be having a ribbon cutting. And let's see, what else? City Council is, the last two City Council meetings, there was two major things that I know we all want to know about. One is a subcommittee that was appointed a couple months ago regarding a potential police station headquarters in Temecula. They provided more direction to the subcommittee to basically look for land, whether city-owned or not city-owned, that could be purchased now or set aside if a city owned it now for a future police station, which could be 10 years, 20 years, who knows how long. And I think the major reason why is that city has the money right now to do it. Land costs are increasing quite a bit. And 20 years from now, who knows what land costs would be. Plus, land in Temecula is getting scarcer and scarcer, and particularly land the size to, put a police headquarters in would be, a fairly good size. So that's one thing's going on. The other, there was an update on Old Town parking. And as you all know, some parking was removed on Front Street, some parking added in a city lot, which somewhat balances out. The city will be looking at the potential of keeping restaurants outdoors to some extent, allowing them to expand the way they have expanded on a more permanent basis. So the issue of parking has, I think, gotten to be a hotter issue as the sheriffs are talking about the amount of traffic that is in town now. Certainly, Old Town is, is the reason for some of that traffic, and the amount of people in Old Town is back to its highs. So what was discussed was that there is a 3-phase plan that's like a 20-year plan for parking in Old Town. And we're kind of between phase 1 and phase 2. And what City Council decided to do was to perhaps move up phase 3, which is adding parking. That even though we've got a lot of parking and that we, in many cases, don't exceed 75% of the spaces being filled, parking is very dispersed. It can be hard to find. You can, if you've got to drive through town to find it, it could end up taking you 20, 25, 30 minutes to find a parking spot. So it's not as convenient as, as we would like it to be. So they're going to be looking at the potential of how do you increase actual number of spots that's related to Old Town, whether it's in Old Town or near Old Town with busing or some aspect of that. But there is a strong feeling that something needs to be done, and we need to do it now because it could take 3, 4, 5, 6 years to work on. And I think that's all I've got. Anybody else have anything? David?
Thanks. Just a quick comment this time. I wanted to pass along my compliments to Chief Hall and Lieutenant Regali for the presentation and Q&A that they gave at the Ready Commission meeting a couple weeks ago, I think it was. There was a lot of information in that exchange that was brand new to me. I think our commissioners asked some really thoughtful, probing questions, and our officers also gave reflective, candid answers. In some respects, it was a conversation that charted some new territory for the city, but at the same time, I think it was also pretty typical of the kind of constructive dialogue and good government that Temecula has built its reputation on. It just made me feel really proud of both the new commission and our law enforcement. So I want to thank everyone who participated in that discussion. And that's all for me this month.
Yeah, I think that it was a great, open, candid conversation that I think really showed how open our sheriff's department is to receive questions like that. I mean, there was some really tough questions, and some really great, like you say, candid, very candid responses that I think were very, very well accepted by the commission. So, so again, congratulations. Anybody else? Mr. Richardson.
Yeah, I just wanted to, a couple things. Wanted to say thank you to Commissioner Maddox for representing our group on the Blue Ribbon Commission. Thank you for stepping up, and I think you've done great work there, and it was highlighted tonight. So thank you for that, sir. The other thing, that the only complaint I was going to bring was the appalling pavement condition on Paba Road, but Patrick said that's July, August. So I guess I'm a happy camper.
and I think there's, Patrick didn't mention, but I think there's a top layer going on Margarita from Winchester North. Is that correct?
That is done.
That's done already. Okay. I know when I was there a week or so ago, it looked like they were setting up for it. So that was very, very quick. And that will be much, much appreciated. So,
Yeah, I guess the thought I had as I was driving, I don't get on Paba Road often. I know, Bob, you probably do as much more than anyone here, but the pavement was so bad. Is there, I know we have a list that we're working down. Is that a list on a city website somewhere so that someone could, a citizen could go look and see when their worst street is coming up in the queue?
Yeah, and I think Chairman Hagel mentioned, or maybe it was Commissioner Maddox mentioned earlier, that was one of the focuses of the budget was, trying to emphasize our road maintenance program. And so we did actually there was an appendix in the budget document, and we've added information onto our website that includes a link to the pavement condition map. So there's a map that you can see now with a link from the website that shows the condition of all the roads. We are going to be adding some more information to that page as far as what the upcoming projects are. And then as those projects are done, the color of the road on that map will change, and it'll show up as being at a higher condition level than prior to the work that was done on it. So yeah, that's definitely something that we are focusing on, and there is the page and link set up now, but we will be adding more information to that here in the near future as well.
Very good.
yeah, that's a great idea, and that's good for us to know, because every once in a while I'll hear, get a question regarding that, and that's a great resource what we can send them to. So anything else, anyone? Okay, we will adjourn, and good evening, everyone. We will adjourn to Thursday, June 24th, 2021, and we will either be on another teleconference, or good news, we may be in person. So that would be great. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.